There was once a Viking warrior so fierce and powerful that no one dared to challenge him in battle. Seeking a new test of his abilities, he took up a different kind of conquest, staring contests. Sailing across Europe, he challenged anyone brave enough to face him, boasting that he had never lost. To make things more interesting, he even promised to give up all the gold he had pillaged to anyone who could defeat him. Word of his challenge spread far and wide, eventually reaching an Irish couple with a very unusual daughter. She had been born without eyelids. Believing she was destined to win, her parents sent a messenger inviting the Viking to Ireland for a showdown. The Viking, eager to prove himself, accepted the challenge and set sail the very next day. When he arrived, the contest began. Hours passed, then days. Nearly a week later, the Viking's eyes remained wide open, unblinking. At last, the exhausted girl admitted defeat, forfeiting the match. Her baffled mother turned to her husband. How in the world did he keep his eyes open for so long, even against someone with no eyelids? Her husband sighed and shook his head. I don't know, dear, but you can lead a Norse to daughter, and you still can't make him blink. The teacher wanted to help the class get to know each other better while practicing spelling, so she announced, Today, I want each of you to stand up, tell us your father's occupation, spell it, and say one thing he would give us if he were here today. Marcy eagerly raised her hand. My father is a banker, B-A-N-K-E-R. If he were here today, he'd give us all a shiny new penny. Very nice, Marcy, the teacher said. Who's next? Kevin stood up. My dad is a baker, B-A-K-E-R. If he were here, he'd give us all a fresh cookie. Wonderful, Kevin. Next, Jeff stood up. My dad is an accountant, the teacher cut in. Why don't you sit down, Jeff? Think about it and try again later. Just then, little Johnny shot his hand up, grinning ear to ear. The teacher sighed, but nodded. All right, Johnny, go ahead. My dad is a bookie, B-O-O-K-I-E, and if he were here, he'd give us all 20. One odds that Jeff never spells accountant correctly. A guy had just started dating a girl he really liked, so he was always looking for ways to impress her. One night, they were at a Rolling Stones concert. During a break, the guy excused himself, but instead of heading to the bathroom, he slipped backstage. There, he spotted Mick Jagger getting ready. Desperate, he approached him. Mick, please, I need a huge favor. My girlfriend and I are massive fans, and I really want to impress her. Could you come over during the show and act like we're old friends? Jagger sighed. I don't know, mate. I'm kind of busy here. Please, just one moment. After that, I'll never bother you again. Jagger rolled his eyes. All right. If it'll get you off my back. Later, during a break between songs, Mick Jagger walked up to their seats. Hey, man, long time no see. How have you been? The guy barely looked up and waved dismissively. Ugh, Mick, can't you see I'm on a date? A doctor at an insane asylum decided to take his patients to a baseball game. For weeks beforehand, he carefully coached them on how to follow his commands. Finally, game day arrived and everything went smoothly. When the national anthem began, the doctor shouted, Up nuts! And all the patients stood up in unison. When it ended, he yelled, Down nuts! And they all sat back down. After a home run, he called, Cheer nuts! And they erupted in applause. When the umpire made a terrible call, he instructed, Boo, nuts! And they all booed passionately. Feeling confident, the doctor left his assistant in charge and went to grab a hot dog and a beer. But when he returned, chaos had erupted. Fans were fleeing, security was struggling, and his patients were causing a full-blown riot. He frantically found his assistant. What the hell happened? The assistant, wide-eyed and panicked, stammered, I don't know. Everything was fine until some guy walked by and yelled, Peanuts! 2 women die and go to heaven, only to find it full of ducks. St. Peter appears and says, Hello, welcome to heaven. There's only one real rule here, and it's because God really loves ducks. Do not ever step on a duck. The women, slightly confused, agree to the terms. What choice is there? They head off into the distance. Well, barely a day goes by when one of the women treads on a duck. St. Peter appears in an instant and immediately chains her to a disgusting, smelly, ugly beast of a man. St. Peter is gone almost as soon as he appeared. The second woman is suddenly more cautious than ever, and weeks go by without incident. Then, one day, St. Peter suddenly appears and wordlessly chains her to a handsome, muscly man with a chiseled jawline and wondrous eyes. Again, St. Peter disappears without explanation. "Oh, wow," the woman says. "I wonder what I've done to deserve this." "I don't know about you, love," the handsome man says, "but I trod on a duck." A young New York woman was so depressed she decided to end her life by throwing herself into the ocean. Just before she could throw herself from the docks, a handsome young man stopped her. "You have so much to live for," he said. "I'm a sailor, and we are off to Italy tomorrow. I can stow you away on my ship. I'll take care of you, bring you food every day, and keep you happy. When we get to Italy, you will be so glad you're alive." With nothing to lose and always wanting to see Italy, she accepted. That night, the sailor brought her aboard and hid her in a small but comfortable compartment in the ship's hold. From then on, every night, he would bring her sandwiches and a bottle of red wine and make love to her until dawn. 2 weeks later, she was discovered by the captain during a routine inspection. "What are you doing here?" asked the captain. "I have an arrangement with a sailor," she replied. "He brings me food and I get a free trip to Italy." "I see," the captain says. Then her conscience got the best of her, and she added, "Plus, he's screwing me." "He certainly is," replied the captain. "This is the Staten Island ferry." A woman comes home early and finds her husband in bed with a girl. She is furious and threatens to kill them both. The husband says, "Believe me, darling, this is just a misunderstanding. I was driving home and saw this young lady trying to catch a ride. So I decided to give her a lift. I ask her where she needs to go, and she tells me she wants to visit some relatives but isn't sure about their address, so I took her home so she could check our phone book. Once there, I saw her dress was pretty ragged, so I decided to give her your old dress. Nearly 2 years that it's been hanging in the closet, and you never wore it. Then I saw her shoes were also about to fall apart, so I gave her your old shoes, which have been doing nothing but collecting dust for 3 years. Of course, she said thanks and then asked, 'Excuse me, sir, but is there anything else in this house your wife never uses?'" John and his girlfriend, Mary, decide to become bank robbers. Mary does the actual robbing at gunpoint inside the banks while John waits outside as the getaway driver. They are initially successful with a string of heists that make headlines, and they become folk heroes, until one day their luck runs out and they get caught. At trial, the judge condemns Mary to 10 years in prison while John gets 2 years. However, once they get to their respective prisons, they discover that due to a clerical error, John will be serving 10 years and Mary only 2. Despite her insistence, John convinces Mary to keep quiet about it. After 2 years, Mary gets out and she continues to visit John faithfully every month, and they exchange letters and phone calls regularly for the remainder of his 10 years. Finally, after he does his time, John gets out and is joyfully reunited with Mary. They get married and move to a different state and start anew, leaving their life of crime behind. They raise a family with children and grandchildren and eventually reach old age after having lived a happy marriage. On their 50th wedding anniversary party, the entire family and friends are gathered. A great celebration is had with many laughs and stories recounting their life together. The conversation turns to the secrets to a happy marriage. One of the guests asks Mary why she decided to stick with John while he was in prison, despite all of the hardships. Mary answers, "Well, you know you have found the one when you finish each other's sentences." A husband calls the sheriff's office to report his wife missing. "Husband, my wife is missing. She went shopping yesterday and has not come home." Sheriff, height? Husband, "I'm not sure. A little over 5 feet tall." Sheriff, weight? Husband, "Don't know. Not slim, not really fat." Sheriff, color of eyes? Husband, sort of brown, I think. Never really noticed. Sheriff, color of hair? Husband, changes a couple times a year, maybe dark brown now, I can't remember. Sheriff, what was she wearing? Husband, could have been pants or maybe a skirt or shorts, I don't know exactly. Sheriff, what kind of car did she go in? Husband, she went in my truck. Sheriff, what kind of truck was it? Husband, A 2016 Pearl White Ram Limited 4x4 with 6.4L Hemi V8 engine ordered with the Ram box bar and fridge option, LED lighting, backup and front cameras, moose hide leather heated and cooled seats, and climate-controlled air conditioning. It has a custom matching white cover for the bed and WeatherTech floor mats. Trailering package with gold hitch, sunroof, DVD with full GPS navigation, satellite radio, Cobra 75 WSX ST40 channel CB radio, 6 cup holders, 3 USB ports, and 4 power outlets. I added special alloy wheels and off-road Toyo tires. It has custom retracting running boards and underglow wheel well lighting. At this point, the husband started choking up. Sheriff: "Take it easy, sir. We'll find your truck." A girl asks her boyfriend to come over Friday night and have dinner. The girl tells her boyfriend that she would like to do it for the first time. The boy is ecstatic, but he has never done it before, so he goes to the pharmacist to get some protection. The pharmacist helps the boy for over an hour and tells the boy everything there is to know about protection. At the register, the pharmacist asks the boy whether he would like the 3-pack, 10-pack, or family pack. Boy picks the family pack because he thinks he will be really busy since it is his first time. The boy shows up at the girl's house, and she takes him to the dinner table where her family is sitting. The boy quickly offers to say grace and bows his head. 1 minute passes, and the boy is still in deep prayer with his head down. This continues for 20 minutes, and he shows no movement. Finally, the girl leans over and whispers, "I had no idea you were so religious." The boy whispers back, "I had no idea your father was a pharmacist." A mature lady gets pulled over for speeding. Older woman: "Is there a problem, officer?" Officer: "Ma'am, you were speeding." Older woman: "Oh, I see." Officer: "Can I see your license, please?" Older woman: "I'd give it to you, but I don't have one." Officer: "You don't have one?" Older woman: "Lost it 4 years ago for drunk driving." Officer: "I see. Can I see your vehicle registration papers, please?" Older woman: "I can't do that." Officer: "Why not?" Older woman: "I stole this car." Officer: "Stole it?" Older woman: "Yes, and I killed and hacked up the owner." Officer: "You what?" Older woman: "His body parts are in plastic bags in the trunk if you want to see." The officer looks at the woman and slowly backs away to his car and calls for backup. Within minutes, 5 police cars circle her vehicle. A senior officer slowly approaches her car, clasping his half-drawn gun. Officer 2: "Ma'am, could you step out of your vehicle, please?" The woman steps out of her vehicle. Older woman: "Is there a problem, sir?" Officer 2: "One of my officers told me this is a stolen vehicle and you murdered the owner." Older woman: "Murdered the owner?" Officer 2: "Yes, could you please open the trunk of your car, please?" The woman opens the trunk, revealing nothing but an empty trunk. Officer 2: "Is this your car, ma'am?" Older woman: "Yes, here are the registration papers, and here is my license." The officer examines the license. He looks quite puzzled. Officer 2: "Thank you, ma'am. One of my officers told me you didn't have a license, that you stole this car, and that you murdered and hacked up the owner." Older woman: "Bet the liar told you I was speeding, too." One morning at a doctor's clinic, a patient arrives complaining of serious back pain. The doctor examines him and asks, "Tell me, what happened to your back?" The patient replies, "Sir, I work for a local nightclub. This morning, I went to my apartment early and heard some noise in my bedroom. On entering, I knew someone had been with my wife, and the balcony door was open. I rushed out of the balcony door and did not find anyone. As I looked down from the balcony, I saw a man running out, and he was dressing himself. I was very angry. I grabbed the fridge and threw it at him. It was very heavy. That was how I strained my back." Later that day, a second patient arrives, and he appears to have been in a car wreck. The doctor said, "My previous patient looked bad, but you look terrible. What the hell happened to you?" He replied, "You know I've been unemployed for a while now. Today was the first day at my new job. I forgot to set my alarm and I was late. I was running out of the building, getting dressed at the same time, and you won't believe it. I was hit by a fridge. I don't know how the fridge fell on me or where it came from." Before closing hours, the third patient came in. He looks like he was punished in hell. The doctor is shocked. He asked, "What the hell happened to you?" The patient replies, "Well, It started like this. I was hiding in a fridge. Bob returned from a doctor's visit and told his wife, Alma, that the doctor said he only had 24 hours to live. Wiping away her tears, he asked her to make love with him. Of course she agreed, and they made passionate love. 6 hours later, Bob went to her again and said, "Honey, now I only have 18 hours left to live. Maybe we could make love again?" Alma agreed, and again they made love. Later, Bob was getting into bed when he realized he now had only 8 hours of life left. He touched Alma's shoulder and said, "Honey, please, just one more time before I die." She agreed, and afterward she rolled over and fell asleep. Bob, however, heard the clock ticking in his head, and he tossed and turned until he was down to only 4 more hours. He tapped his wife on the shoulder to wake her up. "Honey, I only have 4 hours left. Could we—" His wife sat up abruptly, turned to him, and said, "Listen, Bob, I have to get up in the morning for your funeral, and you don't have to get up." A man went to the doctor. He said, "Doc, you have to check my leg. Something's wrong. Just put your ear up to my thigh. You'll hear it." The doctor cautiously placed his ear to the man's thigh, only to hear, "Give me $20. I really need $20. I've never seen or heard anything like this before. How long has this been going on?" The doctor asked. "That's nothing, Doc. Put your ear to my knee." The doctor put his ear to the man's knee and heard it say, "Man, I really need $10. Just lend me $10. Sir, I really don't know what to tell you. I've never seen anything like this." The doctor was dumbfounded. "Wait, Doc, that's not it. There's more. Just put your ear up to my ankle," the man urged him. The doctor did as the man said and was blown away to hear his ankle plead, "Please, I just need $5. Lend me $5, please, if you can." "I have no idea what to tell you," the doctor said. "There's nothing about it in my books," he said as he frantically searched all his medical reference books. "I can make a well-educated guess, though. Based on life and all my previous experience, I can tell you that your leg appears to be broken in 3 places. A doctor, a priest, and an engineer go golfing. After only a few rounds, they get caught behind the worst group of golfers they've ever seen. After growing impatient from waiting for them to finish their holes, they go into the clubhouse to complain. "Let me explain," says the manager. "You see, those men all used to be firefighters, some of the best our city has ever seen. There was a fire here at the clubhouse about 5 years ago. Those heroic men saved our clubhouse from the fire. However, most unfortunately, they all lost their sight in the terrible fire. Since then, they are welcome to use our facilities for life. It's the very least we could do." The priest looks forlorn and says, "I'm so sorry to hear it. I will hold a prayer service this Sunday dedicated to these men." The doctor says, "What an awful thing. I know a highly regarded optometrist who has done some research that might be able to help them. I'll arrange for them to meet as soon as I can." The engineer thinks for a moment and says, "Why can't they golf at night?" An immigrant doctor decided to start his own clinic one day. He put a sign in front of it that says, "If he can't cure your illness, he'll give you $100. If he can, you have to pay $20. A young rich man passes by, sees the sign, and thinks it's a good opportunity to earn $100. Then he enters the clinic. The doctor asks the man what he is feeling. "I lost my sense of taste," says the rich man. The doctor then calls a nurse and asks her to get the medicine from box 25 and put 3 drops in the patient's mouth. The nurse drops 3 drops of medicine into the rich man's mouth. Then he exclaims, "Is that urine? Congratulations! You have been cured of your disease. Now please my $20, says the doctor. The rich man reluctantly gives the money. After a few days, the infuriated man returns to the clinic trying to get his money back. "I lost my memory. I cannot remember anything," the man retorts. The doctor then calls a nurse and asks her to get the medicine from box 25 and put 3 drops in the patient's mouth. "Again, isn't that urine?" the wealth man responds. "Congratulations! You have been cured of your amnesia. Now, please, my $20, says the doctor. The man, already fuming, pays the clinician. He returns a week later, determined to win the cash. "My vision is very weak, and I can't see anything." "Well, I don't have any medicine for that, so take $100. the doctor responds. "But this is a $20 bill," says the man, outraged. "Congratulations, you have been cured of your blindness. Now please, my $20. A wife comes back home to her husband only to find out that the building of her apartment has caught fire. The place is surrounded by firemen and police officers who are not letting anyone through. The wife hysterically goes forward, shouting at them to let her through and that her husband was inside. The fireman tries to calm her down, tells her his condolences and that all the people that were inside are dead. The wife goes even more crazy, wanting to pass through and find her husband. The fireman tries to explain that due to the fire, all the corpses are coal black and that she wouldn't be able to identify him. The wife, now even crazier, insists on going in. "I've been his wife for 20 years. I know every inch of him. I definitely can tell him apart." So the firemen finally decide to let her in. She goes to the first bag, opens it, and reaches with her hand all the way down to his private area. That's not him. She then goes to the next bag and repeats the same thing. That's not him either. She opens the third bag and again reaches all the way down to the guy's privates. But this time there is a long pause. This guy is not even from this building. A farmer stopped by a hardware store and bought a bucket and a gallon of paint. Then he stopped by the feed store and picked up a couple of chickens and a goose. However, struggling outside the store, he wondered how to carry all his purchases home. While he was scratching his head, he was approached by a lady who told him she was lost. She asked, "Can you tell me how to get to this address, please?" The farmer said, "Well, as a matter of fact, my farm is very close to that house. I would walk you there, but I can't carry this lot." The lady suggested, "Why don't you put the can of paint in the bucket, carry the bucket in one hand, put a chicken under each arm, and carry the goose in your other hand?" "Thank you very much," he said, and proceeded to walk the lady home. On the way, he said, "Let's take my shortcut and go down this alley. We'll be there in no time." The lady looked him over cautiously and said, "I am a lonely widow without a husband to protect me. How do I know that when we get in the alley, you won't hold me up against the wall, pull up my skirt, and have your way with me?" The farmer said, "Holy smokes, lady, I'm carrying a bucket, a gallon of paint, 2 chickens, and a goose. How in the world could I possibly hold you up against the wall and do that?" The lady replied, "Set the goose down, cover him with the bucket, put the paint on top of the bucket, and I'll hold the chickens." A new guy starts work at a bakery. He's handed his rota and his eyes lighten up. "Great, it's dinner roll day." The supervisor is puzzled to see such enthusiasm for so mundane a task as baking dinner rolls, but sure enough, the new guy goes to it with zest and panache, and is soon turning out dinner rolls the like of which the supervisor has never seen or tasted, imaginatively designed, and with a taste and texture beyond all praise or even description. It's the same again the next day when the new guy comes in and looks at the rota. "Wow, wholemeal loaf day." And sure enough, he puts the same verve and expertise into making wholemeal loaves as he did into dinner rolls the day before, and soon they are selling like something for which there ought to be a suitable simile when you're telling a story about a bakery. On Wednesday, he takes one look at the words Danish Pastry Day on the rota and immediately bursts into song, turning out tray after tray of beautifully formed and succulent Danish pastries. And on Thursday, the excited shriek of Donut Day, yes, heralds an 8-hour shift of donuts that God himself would forgive the sins of a whole world for. But on Friday, "I don't understand it," says the disappointed supervisor to the master baker. It's his cake day and he's made barely any effort at all. A white guy, a black guy, and a Chinese guy go to work at a coal mine. When they arrive, the manager assigns each of them a task. The white guy, Frank, is in charge of digging. The black guy, Jamal, is in charge of transportation. The Chinese guy, Wong, is in charge of supplies. They get to work and everything is going smoothly. Frank is digging up the coal at a rapid pace. Jamal is quickly transporting the coal, and the two have quite the efficient operation going. Slowly, Frank's pick begins to go dull, and his shovel handle is breaking off. Jamal's transportation cart has a rickety wheel and they need replacements from their supply man, Wong. However, Wong is nowhere to be found. In fact, no one has seen him all day long. Frustrated, Frank and Jamal go to find the manager and explain the situation. The manager is equally upset. The three of them go about the mine looking to find Wong. They search high and low, but Wong can't be found anywhere. Extremely frustrated and about to give up, they decide to take a look down a dark abandoned shaft. They peek their heads in, and suddenly Wong jumps out of nowhere and yells, "Surprise!" An Englishman, Scotsman, and an Irishman are working on a building site. High above the city, they sit together, eating their lunch as they do every lunchtime. The Englishman, Arthur, opens his lunchbox and picks out his sandwiches. "I say, roast beef sandwiches. I'm sick of roast beef sandwiches. If I've got roast beef sandwiches tomorrow, I shall throw myself off this building." Andrew the Scot opens his sandwiches. Haggis sandwiches. I'm sick of haggis sandwiches. If I get haggis sandwiches tomorrow, I shall throw myself off this building. Paddy likewise opens his sandwiches. Feck, potato sandwiches. I'm sick of potato sandwiches. If I get potato sandwiches tomorrow, I shall throw myself off this building. The next day comes, and what do you know? Arthur has a roast beef again. Without a word, he jumps from the 20th floor. Likewise, Andrew has haggis. Without so much as a whisper, he swan dives the full 20 floors. Mournfully, Paddy eyes his potato sandwiches. With a final salute to the world, he too jumps off. All three men are quite dead. At the funeral, the tearful wife of the Englishman says, "All Arthur had to do was tell me he didn't like roast beef. I'd have made him another filling." The wife of the Scotsman sniffs. "I loved my Andrew. I would have made him any sandwich he'd asked for if he'd just said something." The wife of the Irishman is quite unmoved. "The fecking idiot made his own sandwiches!" A society lady runs into the employment office one day and demands a maid right now. It seems she's having a dinner party that night and her maid quit. The guy in the agency explains that all the girls he has right now have just gotten off the boat from Ireland. They're untrained. The lady says she'll train the girl but needs someone right away. The agency guy asks for volunteers, and Molly comes forward. She agrees to go and be trained. Well, the dinner party comes and goes, and although some of the guests seem to disappear now and then, everything works out just fine. Molly does a great job. The next morning, the lady's walking down the upstairs hall and sees Molly in one of the guest rooms. Looks like she's making the bed, but she's just standing there. Curious, the woman walks in and looks over Molly's shoulder. There on the bed lies a condom. The lady turns bright red and tries to laugh it off. "Why, Molly," she says. "Surely you have those in Ireland, don't you?" Molly: "Sure we do, madam, but we don't skin them." A leopard is walking through the jungle when he sees a lost dachshund in the distance. He stealthily begins to stalk up on him, intent on making a meal of him. However, the dachshund catches a glimpse of him out of the corner of his eye. Knowing that there's no way he can win a foot race against a leopard, he decides to employ other tactics. He sits down by a nearby pile of bones. Once the leopard is in earshot, the dachshund sighs contentedly and says to himself, "My, that was one tasty leopard." And not being of the brightest variety, the leopard immediately hightails it out of the area. A monkey had been watching all this go down and, being the cheeky rascal of the jungle, decides to spill the beans to the leopard. Swinging through the trees, he eventually catches up to the leopard and tells him that there's no way that little dog could have eaten an entire leopard. The leopard sees he's made a fool of himself, vows revenge, and tells the monkey to hop on his back to come watch. A few minutes later, the dachshund sees them approaching. As they get closer, he taps his foot in apparent irritation and mutters to himself, "Where's that daggum monkey? I sent him off half an hour ago to fetch me another leopard." A husband and wife who travel with the circus go to an adoption agency but are met with skepticism. "Do you really feel that a traveling circus is a suitable environment to raise a child?" the lady from the adoption agency asks. "Certainly," the couple replies. "We have a beautiful, fully equipped, state-of-the-art nursery that we will be traveling with." Still showing reservations, the woman asks, "What about the child's education?" Not to worry, the couple assures her. We have a full-time tutor with years of experience that can provide our child with the finest education that money can buy. I see, says the woman behind the desk. But what about the child's health? We also have in our employ a full-time nurse with a degree in pediatric medicine who will be able to attend to all of our child's needs. Well, it certainly sounds like you've thought of everything. Were you looking to adopt a girl or a boy? Doesn't matter, the couple tells her, as long as it fits in the canon.